So all of these forms of the Lord are there, but they are amsas, or parts of parts. And Krishna is Swayam Bhagavan. They're all Bhagavan, but Krishna is in a very special position. So the whole point of Srimad Bhagavatam is to show Krishna as the ultimate form. And thus we have in the 10th canto a detailed description of Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan, Mathura, and Dwarka. Through those pastimes, we also understand the supreme qualities and special qualities of Krishna that put him in that position as Swayam Bhagavan. At the same time, we also know that all the forms of the Lord are eternal. And they're not different, actually. They're all one. It's one Bhagavan with many forms. So we should never think that at a certain time there was one form and then he expanded into many forms. No. He is eternally all these different forms. But Krishna is in that very special position. So that is the position of Srimad Bhagavatam. That is also the position of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So during his Navami pastimes, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would always be glorifying Krishna. And of course, the main way of glorifying Krishna is Nam Sankirtan. So he was doing Kirtan. So every night the devotees would gather in Kirtan and ecstasy all night. So he had one devotee there, Mahārāja Gupta, who was fully devoted to Ramacandra. So he was a little bit unique. Everybody was worshipping Krishna. And Mahārāja Gupta was worshipping Ramacandra. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu called Mahārāja Gupta and said, so you understand, in conclusion of Bhagavatam, Krishna is supreme. So, you should also worship Krishna. You see you worshiping Ramacandra, actually you should worship Krishna. So this was an order he was giving to Mahārāja Gupta. Mahārāja Gupta was a little bit puzzled and shocked by that, and he kept silent. And he went to his house. And at night time, he was thinking and thinking and thinking. He did not sleep. He was wondering what to do, because I cannot break the order of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. At the same time, I've made a vow to Ramacandra to be his eternal servant. I cannot break that also. So, what should I do? Anyway, when morning came, he went to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and then he said, I cannot follow your order. I cannot worship Krishna. I must worship Ramacandra. I've given my soul to Ramacandra. And so Lord Chaitanya was very happy. He said, yes, that is the proper understanding. And he did not force him to worship Krishna because Bhagavatam says Krishna is supreme. So that shows that individuals may have a certain preference for a certain form of the Lord, even though in terms of Bhagavatam and philosophy we say Krishna is the supreme. If a devotee prefers to worship another form of the Lord, that is also permissible, and one cannot argue with that, and one cannot force that person to worship Krishna. We cannot say, Krishna is superior, therefore everybody has to worship Krishna and give up all the other forms. You cannot do that. We see that similarly in when Lord Chaitanya was traveling in South India. He stayed for 4 months in Śrī Rāma, where there's a huge deity of Vishnu lying down on Shesha. And that form has been worshipped traditionally by the followers of Ramanuja. And they're very attached to that form. Lord Chaitanya stayed at the house of the Archakas or Pujaris for 4 months because it was Chaturmasya. They respected him greatly because he was a sannyasi. They were masters. And he would have nice conversations with them about Vishnu and Krishna, etc. And then, of course, he was always saying, well, Krishna is superior. And they were saying, no, Vishnu is superior. We were worshipping Vishnu. And he even said, well, how is it then that if Vishnu is supreme, Lakshmi is the consort of Vishnu? But yet Lakshmi becomes attracted to enter into the rasa lila of Krishna. How is it possible? If Vishnu is supreme, Krishna must be more attractive to Lakshmi. How can she desire such a thing? Furthermore, Lakshmi cannot even get into the rasa lila. So, he said, you see, Krishna actually is superior, and even Lakshmi is attracted, and she can't get in because she is not a gopi. The did not in any way mock them or make fun of them, and he accepted that they were dedicated to the lotus feet of Vishnu, so therefore one cannot disturb their worship. So from the, let's say, the theological point of view, we put Krishna at the top, but the other forms are there, and people are free to choose any of those types of worship. This, of course, we distinguish from forms which are not authorized. Sometimes people concoct forms and say this is also the Lord. Or there are different devatas, and they will say they are equal, and they're not equal. So we do have to distinguish, but among the forms of Bhagavan, one has a choice, and one to become dedicated to that form one chooses. So, therefore, there is plenty of variety within the forms of the Lord. This may be a little confusing for people, but nevertheless, we do have plenty of opportunity, not only for different forms, some very extreme forms of the Lord. As we will have Narsimhadev, who's not even a human form, he's got a lion part of his body. Or we have Hayagriva, a horse form of the Lord. Or Matsya and Kurma, etc. So we have various forms of the Lord, and different devotees become attracted to those forms. And we could say, well, how you become attracted to a boar or a snake or a horse or whatever, but people are attracted to those forms and they worship those forms. So we cannot question that because they are all spiritual forms of the Lord. So there is that great variety. However, we do also analyze and understand that there are some forms are classed higher. We put Krishna at the top because he manifests qualities in the most complete way. And next we place Ramacandra. He is also very, very near the top of the list. He also manifests a significant amount of qualities which are attractive to everyone. So we put Krishna at the top, and we put Ramacandra next in position. And then the other forms of the Lord is lower than that. Not that they are actually lower, because they're all one Supreme Lord, but at the same time, they manifest different amounts of qualities, different amounts of pastimes. And so Krishna's at the top, and then Ramacandra. As I mentioned, Krishna's pastimes are detailed in Srimad Bhagavatam, particularly the 10th canto. Also, of course, we'll find his pastimes in other Puranas and in Mahārāja. Ramachandra's pastimes are mentioned briefly in the Srimad Bhagavatam, but they're detailed in the Ramayana of Valmiki. So this is where we get a lot of our information about Ramacandra and his glories. And many people reading and hearing those pastimes of Ramachandra become attracted to that form of Ramachandra and then become dedicated to him. So just as we have devotees of Krishna, we also have devotees of Ramachandra. And they're quite common in India. So, Krishna we put at the top because he shows maximum qualities, and his very name means all attractive. He's attractive to everyone. And thus, he is recommended as the object of worship in Kali Yuga because he's most attractive, and people in Kali Yuga need something attractive to attract them away from Maya, material energy, in Kali Yuga. So, therefore, Krishna is often the recommended object of worship. But not all people may choose to worship him, so we do have alternatives, and Ramachandra is one of these alternatives, and a very good one because he's put in the number 2 position. So, many attractive qualities. We've seen that even today in India, people are attracted to the pastimes of Ramachandra. In the 1980s, I think it was, they put on a television series, the pastimes of Ramachandra, and every week everybody in India was looking at that. Because everyone, just as in probably here, they were looking at cricket when is the big cricket game? Everybody's looking at cricket. So everybody's looking at the pastimes of Ramachandra every week. So this is quite remarkable because generally, India is also not so spiritual mass, becoming more materialistic. But suddenly they saw the pastimes of Ramachandra and everyone became attracted to them. So, therefore, Ramachandra is very attractive with all his wonderful pastimes. One of his unique qualities is, of course, that he has a human-like form like Krishna, whereas Nrsimhadeva is a lion and Hayagriva is a horse and Varaha is a boar, etc. So he has a very human-like form, which is not too gigantic or whatever. It's human-like in size also. But his complexion is green complexion. Krishna has a dark blue complexion, like a rain cloud. Ramachandra's complexion is green like garba grass. So it's a very unique complexion. And he plays the role of an ideal king. We know that Krishna and Dwarka also plays the role of a king. So quite similar in that respect. Ramachandra, of course, tries to set a very good example of Dharma, and he's always preaching Dharma and acting according to Dharma. So that's one of his principal qualities, acting according to Dharma. So during his reign, he showed his ideal conduct as a king and his willingness to always follow Dharma. And for that reason, people are also attracted to him. The attraction to kings and attraction to Dharma gives rise to a rasa, or a particular type of spiritual relationship, which we call dasya, or servitude. And thus we find that most of the relationships with Ramachandra are dasya. And we do have a very famous relationship, that is Hanuman. So we don't have Hanuman here, but usually there's a Hanuman deity in the corner there. I'll forget this also. So there is. Okay. There too. Okay, so Hanuman is considered to be the ideal servant, the ideal das. So he's in Dasya Rasa. So people who are aspiring to realize Rama and go to the spiritual world of Ayodhya, they can follow the example of Hanuman, a very, very enthusiastic servant of Ramachandra. So that's the principal mood that we worship Ramachandra of being a servant. This, of course, he's a servant and Ramachandra is a king. This is a little different from Krishna, even though Krishna is acting like a king in Dwarka. One can aspire for all sorts of relationships with Krishna. So there's options for, of course, Dasya with Krishna, but there's also opportunities for Sakya and for Vatsalya and for Madhurya Rasa, even in Dwarka. So Krishna had 16,108 queens in Dwarka and Madhurya Rasa. So you can also aspire to have a similar mood of Madhurya Rasa in Dwarka. Or if you're even more privileged, you can aspire to be one of the Sakis or Gopis or Mancharis in Madhurya Rasa in Vrindavan as well. So, and of course, then you can have Sakya Rasa or whatever, all these different rasas. So for Krishna, all the different rasas are available, whether it's in Dwarka or in Vrindavan. So that's one of the unique features of Krishna. So with Ramachandra, it is rather limited to Dasya. And of course, that's so for all the other forms. If you worship Varaha or Ayurveda or Vishnu or whatever, basically it's Dasya. So it's a little bit limited. But as we see, that limitation is not really a limitation for those who are dedicated. And that's why Murari Gupta preferred not to worship Krishna. He knew all about Krishna, Rasa Leela, everything. But he said, I dedicated myself to Ramachandra, and that's the mood of Dasya. So he got his particular satisfaction and bliss from serving Ramachandra in that mood of Dasya. And nothing could convince him that anything was superior to that. Similarly, you can never convince Hanuman to give up his worship of Ramachandra and do something else. Worship Vishnu, worship Krishna. You can show Krishna to Hanuman and say, okay, you got wonderful pastimes and pastimes with the gopis and Vrindavan, whatever, but Hanuman's not going to appreciate that at all. He's not interested. He's only interested in this form of Ramachandra. So those who are dedicated to that particular form, they are to be greatly admired. And the Lord himself appreciates that. He responds to those particular devotees. It is said in, the question is asked in the Srimad Bhagavatam, why are there so many different forms of the Lord? Why is we don't have one form? Well, we have so many different forms. And the answer is because there are so many different types of devotees. And they expect different forms. They expect different qualities, different pastimes, different worship, etc. So therefore the Lord manifests all sorts of different forms because there's billions and billions of different types of devotees. And why is that? Because jivas themselves, by definition, are all individuals. And they have their individual preference, right? The particular relationship with the Lord they prefer. So, therefore the Lord assumes all these different forms with different types of relationships. So this is one aspect of the Lord's mercy. It appears in all these different forms for all the different devotees. And he fulfills their desires fully. So all these forms are called Bhagavan. The word Bhagavan can be analyzed into 3 syllables. Bha for Bhartra, which means he who nourishes the devotees. Okay? So individually, he will arrange whatever is necessary to satisfy the devotee's love. So he may take a particular form for the devotee. And Ga for Gamayata, which means he arranges for the devotee to attain the spiritual world and attain a spiritual body so he can serve the Lord eternally in that form. Whatever form the devotee wants, he gets that form, he serves a particular form of the Lord. And Vas refers to Va Bhagavan, refers to Vas, which means to live. So, the devotees live in the Lord, and the Lord lives in the devotees. This means that the Lord is always thinking of his devotee. How am I going to please my devotee? How am I going to serve my devotee? And the devotee is always thinking, how can I serve the Supreme Lord? How I can please him? So there's always this very strong mutual desire to please the other. The Lord wants to please the devotee wants to please the Lord. So, and therefore, we have all sorts of forms and all sorts of variety in the spiritual world. So, if a devotee chooses to worship Ramacandra, very good. Krishna's topmost and Ramacandra is next. And the Lord will make arrangements for that devotee so that he can get that realization. Interestingly enough, of course, we can say for all the forms of the Lord, the process is bhakti yoga. Hearing, chanting, remembering, worshiping, etc. But we also know that the main process, particularly in Kali Yuga, is Nam Sankirtan, chanting the name of the Lord. So we chant the name of Krishna. But in Brihad Bhagavatamrita, there Sanatana Goswami explains, if you want to attain Ramacandra, what do? You chant Ramachandra's names. Just as we chant Krishna's names to attain Krishna, we chant Ramachandra's names to attain Ramacandra. Kirtan, Rama Kirtan. So, very similar. And thus we find in India, there are whole groups dedicated to Rama, and they're always chanting Rama's name just as we chant Krishna's name. So it's also, we say, the quickest and easiest process for attaining the Lord. So you chant Rama's name, then you can attain Ramacandra. In the Brihad Bhagavatamrita also there is the story of Gopu Kumar, and he got a Krishna mantra, and he was chanting that mantra, and he progressed from material world to Svargaloka, to Brahmaloka, to Shiva Loka, to Vaikuntha. And then Narada Muni understood that Gopu Kumar was still not satisfied because he was worshipping Krishna, and Vaikuntha was somehow spiritual, but it wasn't Krishna. So, of course, the people of Vaikuntha didn't appreciate that too much. Because they were all followers of Vishnu. So, Gopu Kumar was, how can he be dissatisfied with Vishnu? He couldn't understand it. Narada Muni could understand also. And so he told him that actually, it's natural that you have this dissatisfaction because your attraction is different. It is not for Vishnu at all. So he suggested, of course, ultimately you want Krishna, but first you go to Ayodhyā in the spiritual world. You chant Rama's name. Chanting Rama's name, you get to Ayodhyā. And there you will see Ramacandra. So Gopa Kumar followed Narada Muni's instruction, chanted Ramachandra's name, and then he ended up going on the path to Ayodhyā. Then he met all the monkeys. And then finally they took him to see Ramacandra there. And Ramacandra was there with Sita and Lakshmana and Hanuman, etc. And he was very, very satisfied with that. And he noticed that, of course, Ramacandra was kind of like Narayana, Vishnu, similar in features. Of course, he was green instead of bluish, but very similar. 2 hands instead of 4 hands, a little different. Also, one of his characteristics was he had the bow. Instead of Shankha Chakra, etc., he was holding the bow. That was one of his characteristics. But another characteristic was that Ramachandra was very humble. He didn't want to get worshipped. He was very respectful to Gopal Kumar, even though Gopal Kumar was just dressed like a cowherd boy. So Gopal Kumar was impressed. This form of Rama was different from Vishnu. He was more intimate, more caring, more friendly, not so reserved, full of majesty, etc. He was very, very friendly, very, very humble. And of course he was acting according to God. So this way, Gopal Kumar was very impressed with this form of Ramachandra. But of course, ultimately he was not satisfied because he was dedicated to Krishna. So Rama also understood this. Ramachandra did not get offended, said, "Why, you're not worshiping me? I'm so wonderful and beautiful," and whatever. He understood that Gopal Kumar had a particular attraction for Krishna, so therefore it was proper that he go to see Krishna. So he said, "Okay, you go off to Dwarka, you go off to Vrindavan." So he made arrangements for him to go, very, willingly. And he took his servants and said, "You accompany him and go with him." So in this way, the Lord is never offended if you worship another form. He also helps make arrangements for us to attain that particular form. So what this shows is that the Lord is very attentive to all the devotees and their particular desires, their particular needs. And he tries to fulfill it in the best way possible. So we should never feel that there is a dissatisfaction with the form of the Lord or how we're worshiping the Lord. Whatever we need spiritually, the Lord will supply that and give us proper guidance so we attain the proper form. So this we should understand about the Supreme Lord. So the Lord has many forms for this particular purpose. So today is the appearance day of Ramachandra. This is the Navami Tithi. There are different lunar days, starting from 1 going up to increasing the moon until we get to the Purnima, which will be the 15th lunar day. So in the middle we get this 9th day, or the Navami Tithi. So this is the time at which Ramachandra manifested himself within the material world. So we like to celebrate that. Of course, Ramachandra is eternal, just as Krishna is eternal. But when the Lord appears in this material world as avatar, he appears within our time. And so it looks like he's being born or manifesting at a certain time, even though he's eternally in the spiritual world. So instead of calling it a janma, we call it an appearance, or avibhava. So the Lord manifests himself or appears within the material world from the spiritual world. So we kind of treat it like a birth when actually it is simply an appearance. So Ramachandra appears on Navami day. It is said he appeared at noontime. On the other hand, we see in Bhagavatam, Krishna appeared on the Astami, and not the waning Astami in Shravana month. And Krishna appeared at midnight, whereas Ramachandra appears at noon. So, we celebrate these appearance days, just as in the material world we celebrate birthdays, but with the understanding that the Lord is not really born at all. He doesn't have a material body, he's not born by karma, etc. So we celebrate his appearance within the material world on the Navami Tithi. And the unique feature of the Lord, of course, he does have a form. And even though it is a spiritual form, we can also represent that form as a deity. This is, of course, just to accept the form of the Lord is a unique feature or sampradaya, or the Vaishnavas in general. Other cultures don't even accept the form of God, but we do. And not only that, we accept many forms of God. And not only that, the form can also manifest through stone, wood, metal, etc. in the deity. Other religions reject that completely as well. But we say, no, it is possible. So therefore we have the deity forms. So here we have the deity forms of Ramachandra's brothers and Sita Devi and Hanuman. So we can worship those forms. And of course on this day, as we saw, there was the Abhishek, or the bathing ceremony. So bathing ceremonies, of course, every day when you do your daily worship, the deities, you may bathe them also, because this says you also bathe every day. So the Supreme Lord also bathes every day. But then we also have special bathing. So one of the special occasions, of course, is birth. So when Krishna is born, there's a special bathing ceremony. And another type of bathing is coronation. When somebody is crowned as the king, then they also have bathing ceremony for Ramachandra or whatever. So that bathing ceremony, of course, is a type of festive occasion to represent and honor the appearance of the Supreme Lord. So that's why we have these abhisheks or bathing ceremonies at the appearance day of Ramachandra and Krishna and Gauranga, etc. So, what is the purpose of celebrating these days? It is always practical for us to engage ourselves as much as possible in serving the Lord. So we can do that every day. Some people have their personal deities, some are worshiping the deity in the temple. But we also have special days when people can do special services. So these appearance days are days when people can take up special services on behalf of the Supreme Lord, such as special worship or special offerings, special cooking, etc., special kirtans, etc. So we can engage all of our senses in glorifying Ramachandra. So in other words, the appearance day of Ramachandra gives us an opportunity to engage all of our senses in devotional service to glorify Ramachandra. We can, of course, do it every day, but then this is a special occasion, so we can do with greater amount of enthusiasm, absorption. So by doing this, then, of course, we can always increase our devotional service. The one aspect of, I mentioned about Gopakumar. Gopakumar was in Ayodhyā, and he saw Ramachandra. He was attracted, and he preferred that to Vishnu, etc. But still there was a problem because he was yearning for Krishna. But then he didn't want to just rudely leave or anything. So what he would do was he would be meditating on Ramachandra's form, and then within that, then he would see the wonderful qualities of Krishna. So therefore, within Ramachandra, he was also seeing Krishna himself. So this was some opportunity for him to appreciate Krishna in another form of the Lord. It is said that when Krishna appears in this material world, all the other forms of the Lord also come and emerge into Krishna.
So you could worship any form, like Narasimhadev or anyone. In Krishna, you don't need a separate form. It's all in Krishna. So similarly with Ramachandra, then you can also see Krishna there. If you're dedicated to Krishna, you can also see Krishna within Ramachandra. So there's lots of flexibility in how we can do these different types of worship of Krishna and the avatar forms. So on this particular day, let us try to remember the glories of Ramachandra and all his wonderful pastimes, and also his devotees like Hanuman, who are fully dedicated to serving his Lord's feet. Okay, Hare Krishna. Any question there?
Why would you say that the answer to the question is, the answer to the question, why are there many different forms of the Lord, is the same as why are there many religions in the world?
Also, yeah, because people want to see the Lord in different ways, different capacities, etc. Even impersonally. So the Lord is Brahman, Paramama, and Bhagavan. So some people don't like the form of the Lord, so the Lord is Brahman also, and then they don't have to worship a form, but it's still the Lord. So we have some religions, many religions, most religions like that. They don't accept the form of the Lord, so they're kind of accepting the Brahman instead. So this is, we say the Lord knows people are differently inclined, so he has these different forms for different people. So it's a very, very liberal conception of God that can accommodate all religions of the world.
Thank you. For the superior power, do you do the superpower has any kind of form or without any form or access?
You're talking of God?
Yeah, like main power.
Well, God is both. God has a form, and he also doesn't have a form. He can do both. When we talk about form, though, we're talking not about material forms like this or our bodies. God has a form, but it looks kind of like us, as we see Ramachandra, but it's not material at all. It is eternal, spiritual, not subject to birth, death, old age, disease, karma, any material fault, etc. So God can be like that. Some people have difficulty in accepting that God has a form. Forms are material and limited, so how can God have a form? They prefer God without a form. So we also have God in that form. This is called Brahman. So it's just like light, so to speak. So if one wants to, one can realize God in that aspect. If one prefers the personal form, one can also worship Bhagavan or the form, realize that form. Any other question?
Hare Krishna Mahārāja, what should we pray to Lord Ram?
Oh, what we pray for? Well, what do you pray for Krishna? Money? No. We don't pray for money. We don't pray for material things from any form of God. We pray for service. So actually Prabhupada says when you chant Hare Krishna, what does it mean? It means please engage me in your service. Not please give me something. And let me serve you. I'm giving to you, not that you give to me. We're not praying in that way. So we're asking the Lord to please engage us in service. So whether it's for Krishna or Rama or any other form of the Lord, this is what we call pure bhakti. So if we're praying to Ramachandra, we're praying, please engage me in your service. Let me somehow please you, just as Hanuman pleases Rama. Hanuman is not asking for anything either. He just wants to please Rama, that's all. Yeah, everything's in Krishna. Yes, Krishna is complete, And whatever characteristics and pastimes we see in any form of the Lord is also in Krishna. Plus, Krishna's got a little extra. So we see in Nectar Devotion, it's described that Vishnu has 60 qualities and Krishna has 60 more qualities, so extra qualities. So Krishna has all the 60 plus he has extra. So therefore, we don't have to aspire actually for worshiping other forms. We can just worship everything in Krishna. Nevertheless, we do see some people are attracted to worshiping other forms of Lord, so that's permitted also. As I said, different people they prefer different forms. So the Lord allows that and manifest different forms. So one can do that. But, of course, they don't have exactly the same amount of qualities manifested. Yeah, so when we chant Rama, of course, if you want, you can say Rama means Ramacandra. Yeah, but then Hare could not mean Radha in that sense. It would have to be Sita. But then if we're chanting for Radha and Krishna and Sita Ram, then we're kind of worshiping two deities. So some of our acharyas say that Rama here refers to Krishna. The word Rama can refer to Ramacandra, can refer to Vishnu, can even refer to Nrsimhadev. And when it refers to Krishna, it means the form who gives pleasure to Radha. So that's Rama. As we see Radha Ramana, one who gives pleasure to Radha Ramana. Yeah. Yeah. Well, the word Rama could be Balaram, it could be Parsuram. So it could be many things, but as far as Lord Chaitanya, then it's all referring to Krishna. Okay. Anything else? No. Okay. I guess we can end it. Right. Hare Krishna.
His Holiness Bhanu Swami Mahārāja ki Jai. Hare Krishna, everyone. So now we'll move on to the next part of the program. So if I can request everyone to please move this way and we'll face towards the deities. So if we can move closer to this side in preparation for the drama. So we'll start with a short kirtan first, and then we'll have enough space for the performers on the left side of the tent.